Hi friends. Today is part 2 of our portal story that we started last week. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about our topic for what we're going to be writing about today. And today we're going to be diving into the second part of our story, which is looking at the characters. So this is kind of an important piece to our story because if you don't like the character, oftentimes you don't like the story. If you love the character and feel like they're your friend, then oftentimes you want to come back and read more of that story. When we learned about character before, and we looked at character traits, we learned that they are words that describe and help us understand a character. What they look like on the outside and what they're like on the inside. So the outside would be what we see, the physical things we see. And the inside are the thoughts, feelings, and personality that kind of come out in the story that kind of help us to understand that character a little bit more. You are all characters. I know that. I can describe, when I describe my class this year, I say we've got a lot of characters in there. Got a lot of characters. And so people know that we have a wide variety of fun personalities in my class this year. And so when I describe you as a bunch of characters, it doesn't mean that you're a bunch of blobs. Instead, they know that you're popping like popcorn. All excited to be a part of everything every day and share your thinking. A lot like the character that we explored when we learned about characters. On the outside, we could see that she was prepared because she had a lot of different outfits. We knew that she is a pig. We could tell that she was a singer because in some of the pictures she was singing. We could see outside that she was loud. Those are things that you can observe. She's active and busy. But then when we read the story, we learned a lot more about Olivia, that she was unique. She's grumpy. She was responsible, indecisive, playful, creative, thoughtful, loving, and she was a negotiator. And so all of those things came out about her personality, the things that were more on the inside that make her herself. I wonder how you would describe your personality. I would describe my personality as, see, you could say, first of all, the way I look on the outside of the character would be she's tall, she's chubby, she's got long hair, she has peachy colored skin, blue eyes, so you could describe me like that. But then when you get on the inside, I would hope you would say, oh, she's loving, she's kind, she's funny, she's goofy, she's thoughtful. I hope you would say that I'm smart because I think that I'm a smart thinker. So, I would also say that I'm impulsive and that I'm chatty. So there are some things like that too. I'm patient sometimes and impatient other times. So there's a lot of ways that you can describe yourself that would help people understand you better too. So if you need to pause and just think about what your character traits are right now, you can go ahead and do that. So you'd hit the pause, think about it, and then hit unpause when you're ready to start working again. So last week we described the setting, and I'm just going to read the setting. One day my video game machine wouldn't turn on. I tried to fix it by checking the connections. Oh, whoops, you can't see that very well. I tried to fix it by checking the connections, but when I peeked behind the TV, there was a hole in the wall. I knew I probably shouldn't, but I reached into the hole. Then my whole body got sucked right through the magical portal. When I got to the other side, this is the incredible world I saw. And so this is what I hope you all wrote about last week. And your world was different than mine. I got to read Alana's, and she wrote about a candy world, and it was amazing to visualize the world that she fell into. Suddenly, I found myself on a mysterious island. I quickly looked behind myself, but the hole seemed to have disappeared. I decided I had better get familiar with my surroundings, since it looked like I wasn't going back home very soon. When I looked around, I saw a beach with crystal blue water lapping at the shores and tall palm trees, heavy with coconuts. Sea grasses rustled in the gentle breeze, and tropical flowers released their sweet fragrances. I'm going to go ahead and tip this now. The sun was shining bright in this golden, beautiful world. As I looked out over the sparkling water, I thought I saw a fin flip and the faint sound of tinkling laughter. The island was beautiful, comfortable, and safe feeling. It felt like the kind of place where magical things happened and goodness reigned. Whoops, sorry. I'm doing my best with this videoing, but it's kind of funny. All right, so today when we talk about characters, we're also talking about the way we write sentences. So I know it's really easy for us just to list some things about a character, and I decided that my character's name was Sophia. I picked somebody's name in our class, and somebody who I know that you all like. Her name is Sophia, and she can turn into a mermaid. I can't believe I misspelled that. Selena's is Little John. Mermaid. I'm going to X out that E. She is curious, and she likes to explore, and she likes the island, and she wants to explore it, and she notices things. She is optimistic, and optimistic means that she thinks of things, like thinks things are going to turn out good. So this is a lot of good description about what you know about Sophia. And this is a different Sophia than their class. She just shares a name with her. So a couple of things that happened is we could combine some of these sentences. We could say that her name is Sophia and she can turn into a mermaid. We could get rid of that period right there and make this a lowercase a. Her name is Sophia and she can turn into a mermaid. She is curious and she likes to explore and she likes the island and she wants to explore it and she notices things. Did you notice that there's a lot of sentences there that start with and? I did. And I noticed that I have a lot of friends in my second grade class who start their sentences with and. The other word they start it with often is but. And I have to tell you something, my friends. Authors don't do that very often. In fact, it's kind of a grammar rule that you're not really supposed to start any sentences with the words and or but. So if you're somebody who starts your sentences with and or but a lot, I want you to notice the next thing I'm going to do. Watch this. She is curious. And she likes to explore, and she likes the island. Watch. Just gonna X out that and, make that a capital. She likes to explore. That's a really good sentence without the and. Let's try that again. She likes the island. Are you noticing that I don't even need those ands there? Let's try it again. She wants to explore it. Are you noticing that? We don't even need those ands there. And the same thing happens for but. We don't need but at the beginning of sentences either. So if you're doing that, I'm going to tell you to stop it. Don't do that anymore. Get rid of that. And then when you become an older person who's maybe in high school, then you can start using and or but sometimes. But if you look in an author's book, a real published author, they do that very rarely. They might do that 3 times in a whole chapter book. It is very rare to have an and or but at the beginning. So we're going to get rid of that as second graders for a couple years. And then when we are older and we can be more considerate about it, then we can start weaving that back into our stories in big, fabulous ways again. And she notices things. There's another one. Let's get rid of that. She is optimistic. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you what I wrote for my story today. And you will notice that I didn't write it in a list. I also told what happens in first person. First person means that instead of saying her name is Sophia, I would say my name is Sophia. I can turn into a mermaid. I am curious. I like to explore. I like the island. I want to explore it. I notice things. I am optimistic. So when I start talking about it like it's about me, then you get more interested in my story. So that's another thing I changed. I also added a lot more details to my story. All right. Yeah, and if you're in my class, you know I love mermaids. I love mermaids. I have a mermaid mural in my bathroom. That's how much I love them. All right, I'm going to read this to you, and then we're going to go through and look at the things that we know about the character. I was definitely curious about the laughter I heard, so I moved toward the water's edge. As I stepped into the water, a change started to come over me. I still felt like the same inquisitive, optimistic girl inside, but I noticed my legs started to tingle as scales started to appear. I quickly hopped back out of the water, and they went away. Cautiously, I dipped my toe back into the water, and again, purple, green, and turquoise scales started forming, running up my legs and ending at my waist. I went deeper, and as I got up to my belly button, then up to my shoulders in the water, my legs fused together, and I realized I was half fish and half human. I had gained the ability to change into a mermaid. I couldn't believe it. I turned into Sophia, the mermaid girl. I dove into the water with excitement, opened my eyes, and found that I could see and breathe underwater with no problem at all. As I swam back to the beach, the process happened in reverse, as my legs separated and I was able to walk again. I liked this new place and couldn't wait to explore the underwater world and the beautiful island. And then I drew Sophia the mermaid. And I have to tell you, I wanted to make her hair brown, but when I started drawing it, I didn't have enough room. And I knew that I had to make the colors light enough so that you could see them. So you could see the words behind the drawing. And so I had to make her have lighter hair. So that's what Sophia the mermaid looks like right now. All right, so now we're gonna take a minute and we're just gonna go ahead and look at the different parts of the story. So I hope you noticed all of these things were in the story. Her name is Sophia. So let's find where it says that her name is Sophia. I was definitely curious about the world. I quickly hopped out of the water, cautiously dipped my toe back in the water, and again, I went deeper, and as I got my belly wet and my legs, half fish, half human, I had gained the ability to turn into a mermaid. I couldn't believe it. I turned into Sophia, the mermaid girl. There it is, right there. That is that detail. She can turn into a mermaid. There's a lot of parts about how she can turn into a mermaid in here. I didn't just say, I turned into a mermaid. As I stepped into the water, and I'm going to underline these mermaid parts in here. As I stepped into the water, a change started to come over me. I still felt like the same optimistic girl inside, but I noticed my legs started to tingle as scales started to appear. I quickly hopped back out of the water and they went away. Cautiously, I dipped my toe back in the water, and again, purple, green, and turquoise scales started forming, running up my legs and ending at my waist. I went deeper, and as I got up to my belly button, then up to my shoulders in the water, my legs fused together, and I realized I was half fish, half human. I had gained the ability to change into a mermaid. And I don't know about you, but I think she can turn into a mermaid is interesting. But I think that the way I wrote it here, where I described how I turn into a mermaid, is more interesting than just saying that I can turn into a mermaid. Don't you agree? And so if you have a magical change that comes over to you in your land, tell about it a little bit. Take a few minutes to write some interesting ideas. Like, what do you see happening in your imagination? Because this is what I saw in my imagination when I thought about how I would turn into a mermaid and how I would turn back out of a mermaid and back into a human. Because I decided that I don't want to be a mermaid the whole time in the story. Sometimes I want to be a human. I want to be able to go into the water and explore, and I want to be able to come out of the water and explore on land too. So I told how that happens. Do you have to write as many sentences as I did? No, you don't. But tell about it in an interesting way, in a way that you would want to read it, in a way that's going to make your reader pay attention closely and be like, ooh, that's interesting. I wasn't afraid to write a lot of sentences. That was okay with me. I have time for that right now, to write extra sentences. All right, so now let's keep on going with our checklist. So we know how she can turn into a mermaid now. She is curious. In the first sentence, I said, I was definitely curious about the laughter I heard, so I moved toward the water's edge. And then I started talking about the mermaid. But there's something else that I said here. I said that I hopped out of the water and then cautiously. So I wasn't just jumping in the water like a crazy person being impulsive. I was being careful about going into the water. So I'm curious, but I'm cautious too. Let's see, we'll get past the mermaid stuff. I couldn't believe it. I turned into Sophie, the mermaid girl. I dove in the water with excitement. So she's excited. She has joy. She experiments. I opened my eyes and found that I could see and breathe underwater. So that's not something that I had on this list, but that does tell that I am exploring, doesn't it? So I dove back in the water. I opened my eyes and found that I could see and breathe underwater. So that was part of her exploring and experimenting. She notices things. That's one of the things that she notices. I'm gonna go down just a little bit lower. I know I'm having to lean way over here and like get down. As I swam back to the beach, the process happened in reverse and my legs separated and I was able to walk again. I liked this new place and couldn't wait to explore the underwater world and the beautiful island. So one of the things, oh, and she's inquisitive. I forgot to say that one. She is optimistic. She is curious. Got that one. She likes to explore. She wants to explore. She notices things. She is optimistic. So all of those ideas got into the story. Now, I, as a reader, am more interested in this story than this story. There's nothing wrong with this story, is there? This has all the ideas that we wanted on here. But this story combines these sentences and gives extra details. Now, friends, here comes the challenge. I'm challenging you to try to do the same thing. Push yourself just a nudge past where it feels most comfortable and go into that unsafe place where you're trying something new. It might feel scary, but that's okay. When we try new things, it can feel scary, but you might surprise yourself. When you write your story like this, where you combine things and you try to include those extra words that maybe I often say that good writing happens when your hand hurts. When you're putting those extra details in, that's when the good writing happens. And you can stop and stretch out your hands and give yourself a little hand massage and shake your hands and take a quick break. But don't forget your ideas and keep writing them down. It's also okay if you want to do this on the computer. That's a great place to do your typing if your hands get too tired. But if you want to, if you feel comfortable, I would love to see the writing that you came up with. I got to see one person's last week, and I would love to see more. I'm already feeling so proud of the risks that you're going to take today, and I can't wait to read your writing. This is it for today. I love you. Goodbye, friends. Have a wonderful day.